blocked the sleep element.
The countdown's getting persona!
There! Alright, the last one will still be outfit.
Employees, to me!
Damn it!
I don't like that. Oh god, it's definitely dead.
Hi, Simona!
I'm just gonna rest. Honestly, I'm done. I'm done. The time is gonna. Time to switch to easy mode. Oh my god, I don't. This is probably the most bullshit boss I've played against in a long time. This is way too hardcore.
Get up! Joker!
Alright, time to put it onto easy.
I've heard so many people complain about the Okumera boss fight and how hard it is. As much as I want to empathize with you guys, this boss fight is not hard. It's a skill check to see if you've actually been utilizing the game's mechanics to get through it. The game gives you so much time to figure things out, so if you don't have the hang of it by this point, I have the right to tell you to get good.
We don't care about that self-gratification. Get on with it.
But I'm not here to judge. I'm going to show you how to destroy Okumera, and by the time we're done, you're going to be like, wow, I did need to get good. If you're one of those players that just wants to experience the story, swallow your pride and switch to safety difficulty. Let's get started. Before we talk about the fight itself, I'm going to give you some tips to prepare for the fight. Baton Pass is super important for this fight, especially on hard mode, and without it, you won't beat Okumera unless you have some super over-leveled personas. Luckily in this game, Baton Pass is much better than it was before, with ranks for each character that you can level up. Ranking up Baton Pass will give you huge damage boosts, as well as increase the HP and SP for the person you're passing to. What we really need is damage, so head over to Penguin Sniper and Kichijoji and rank it up. I'll leave a link to my playlist in the top right corner that has plenty of guides for the things I'll be talking about in this video. Technical damage can be a huge help in a later stage of the fight. Technical ranks aren't as easy to level up as Baton Pass, but it's very much worth it, with the ability to boost damage and knock down enemies with rank 4 guaranteeing knockdowns. Again, make sure to check out my guide playlist. I break down the process for you in a separate video. I hope you have a high proficiency because we're going to want to craft some element sets and forces sets. Exploiting weaknesses is important for the early stages of the fight, and not every party member can do that, so these items can compensate when they are not able to get the job done. If you go to the Shinjuku bookstore, you can get a book called The ABCs of Crafting. Read it, and you can double the amount of infiltration tools that you can craft. If you don't have the right materials, you better get to mementos and grind. I'd recommend somewhere between 5 to 10 of each set. Dizzy vials are very useful in this fight as well. You can get these from treasure chests or from Jose and mementos. There's quite a few confidants that can come in handy in this fight. You can stock up in heals from Takimi. Sojiro can show you how to make SP restoring coffee for one person and curry for the whole party. Hifumi can help you swap out your party members when necessary in battle. The twins can help you craft stronger personas for a fee, which will allow you to place much less emphasis on strategy if you can make personas that are strong enough. Chihaya literally breaks the game by letting you abuse Fusion Alarm to make even stronger personas and even max their stats when combined with other Confidant perks. The confession booth may come in handy if you made your party members forget some skills that will help you out in this fight. Anne's Matarunda or Tarunda skill is very useful here, since it allows her to reduce the enemy's attack. Dekaja also allows her to remove enemy buffs, so make sure to get these skills if you made her forget them. Makoto is also very helpful for this fight because she has Dekunda, which lets her remove debuffs from the party. She also has Rarukaja, Maralukaja for buffing defense. You can have Joker do this stuff, but since he's the best damage dealer, it's best to let them handle it. The Jazz Bar in Kichijoji lets you boost your party members' stats. Make sure you bring the party members on days where it would benefit them the most. For example, bring Anne when you would get a magic boost, or Ryuji when you would get a strength boost. Bringing Futaba here on Sundays would also be helpful since she can get better support skills. Switching the difficulty to Merciless for this fight can make the fight even easier if you can exploit weaknesses and get technical damage effectively. If you manage to get any of these guys to rank 10 and evolve their persona, they'll be even more helpful in the fight. The party members that I feel are mandatory for this fight are Anne and Makoto for the reasons stated previously. There will be a lot of buffs and debuffs being thrown around as well as high damaging moves, so it's important that you manage the party properly to avoid dying. If you're unable to use any of the game-breaking strategies that I mentioned earlier in the video, and have to do this fight fair and square, I've got 2 personas that should make this a breeze. The first persona would be Decarabia. As you can see here, it has every elemental skill except for Bufu, since these are all helpful in a fight. The Relentless trait boosts weak spot damage by 50%. To make this persona, you'll want to fuse the Stone of Scone Treasure Demon with Niji Mitama. You can get the Stone of Scone from Futaba's Palace or the 5th area of Mementos. If you also want the Null Fizz skill, complete the Winners Don't Use Cheats request on September 4th to get the skill card. If you don't mind using DLC, you can use Izanagi Picaro or Kaguya to pass the skill down. Stone of Scone will pass down the rest. The second persona I'd recommend for this fight is White Rider. He comes in clutch for dealing good damage later in the fight using this build. Combos for making him are Lilim plus Pisaka, Mothman plus Isis, and Mithra plus Karanzan gun boost is learned naturally by White Rider. Gun amp can be obtained by itemizing him during a fusion alarm. Apt Pupil can be obtained by using the Gallows and sacrificing a level 8 or higher Bicorn. This skill is good for boosting your chances of getting a critical hit, which is useful later in the fight. To get charge, you have 2 options. You can do the request called Who's Been Assaulting People, or you can itemize Athena Picaro, no alarm required. Charge will let your physical attacks do double damage. The trait I would recommend is one that increases baton pass damage, since physical damage boosting traits do not apply to guns. Skillful combos should do the trick. Before we get to the fight, make sure you like and subscribe if this is helping you. If you want real-time help from experts or just want to vibe with some like-minded people, hop in my Discord server, link in description. Now we can finally get the fight. This fight consists of 8 waves, and I will show you how to beat each one. For the first 5 waves, you need to wipe out the enemies on the same turn, or else they will run away and respawn fully healed, wasting your time. You can't use the all-out attack during this fight, which is why Baton Pass is important here. Make sure to have Ann and Makoto ready to remove any debuffs from your party and buffs from the enemies just in case. The first 5 waves of enemies have weaknesses that can be exploited by Decarabia, so the strategy is just to knock them down with the appropriate skill, then swap to White Rider and hopefully defeat them with triple down. With the damage boosters, this shouldn't be a problem. If you have to use a party member who can't exploit the enemy weakness, try to use one of those elemental items that I asked you to craft. You should be able to knock the enemy down and get a baton pass chain going to wipe the enemies out. Or you can use a Dizzy Vial to go for the technical, which should knock the enemies down if your rank is high enough. Here are the weaknesses of each wave if enemies. Wave 1 is weak to fire and wind. Wave 2 is weak to ice and psychic. Wave 3 is weak to electric and nuke. Wave 4 is weak to wind and bless. And Wave 5 is weak to Psi and curse. Wave 6 is the hardest part of the fight since the boss has no weaknesses at all. That doesn't mean that we can't get a knockdown though. You'll want to use Knight Rider exclusively and have your party stick with physical moves, since the Wave 6 enemy can cast Makarakarn on itself to reflect magic damage, meaning Ryuji can come in handy here. Haru can also be helpful by using Tetrakarn to protect someone from the enemy since it uses physical attacks. Having Apt Pupil on White Rider also means that you can potentially get a critical hit and knock it down with triple down, then Baton Pass for some extra damage, or just use triple down again. Using a Dizzy Vial or some skill to make it dizzy can also work, since dizzy enemies can get technical from any type of damage. Again, if you have a high enough rank, this can lead to a knockdown. Having a skill like Null, Drain, or Reflect Physical also stops it from doing damage to you. One thing you want to be wary of is its special attack. Make sure you use Tarunda to reduce its attack, then guard to avoid dying. If you're hungry, this move actually heals you instead. Once you beat this part, the rest of the fight is a cakewalk. You'll fight Robo Haru on the 7th wave. She's not very strong, just follow the same strategy and be ready to debuff her and guard when she tries to self-destruct. On the final wave, you'll fight Okumera himself, but he sucks. Just give him a love tap and he'll go down. Make sure you revive anyone who is knocked out before you finish him so that they gain XP from the fight. Now you know how to destroy Okumera. Make sure you share with your friends. Later, losers.